Hi, everyone. So, hot take. I think the GOP is doomed in 2024 unless they do this one thing. And it unfortunately has something to do with the issue of abortion. And I'm not expressing my personal view on this or anything. Like personally I'm against abortion in nearly every circumstance whatsoever. And I support a worldwide ban, not just a nationwide ban, but whatever. But that's not a winning issue. And I mean, you can be all you want. You can just hate on the voters and just be like, you know, I mean, like too many degenerates. They just care so much about. They care more about killing babies than about inflation and crime issues that affect everyone and anyone. But that's not helpful. Like how do you think that helps? These people, regardless, these people still have voting power. So you can sit here and just blame and just hate on them all you want, but that's not going to change the fact that they vote. So you can either just sit there broiling, or you can adapt to it. You can accept it and work around it. And so that's really what the GOP needs to do. Now, what you need to say about most people, they aren't in favor of like this extreme policies that the Democrats are proposing, like partial birth abortion on demand and without apology, late term abortion. you know Most people actually do not support those things. The popular position is to ban late term abortion, or I mean, I think or possibly around a pain threshold. A threshold around which the baby can literally feel the pain of its own death. I mean, that's a popular position. Most people in America would support that. Most people are in that roughly that center position. Most people don't support partial birth abortions, and most people also don't support a complete ban with no exceptions whatsoever. Um, so that's I'm going to echo real American politics on this. He said, all the GOP has to say is, we're not going to, we're just going to institute a national late term abortion ban, and then the rest of it, should be left up to the states. Because a lot of the Democrat voters, in this midterm, this is why the midterms went so bad for the GOP. A big reason is, people, a lot of Democrat voters, Gen Z, even Hispanic women, they turned out, they thought people were gonna arrest women for having like an abortion in like the 2 weeks into their pregnancy, and like, which is absurd. Like, this is not, you know, you know, pe- that's just not true. But we didn't, the candidates in this cycle just didn't hammer that down enough. I mean, they didn't say that enough, and they didn't stress enough. So, but I would expand on that. I'd say you not only have to say that, it's like there's a trustability issue. People might not trust that you're actually going to, they might think that you're going to, you say you're going to do that, but then you're actually going to do something completely worse. I mean, there have been cases like, I don't know, I mean, it didn't hurt him, because, I mean, this was before the Dobbs decision, but Governor Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, I mean, he was caught on tape saying, "Oh, I'm only going to say that I want abortion. I mean, a pain threshold, but truthfully, I mean, I have to say that just because I'm other. I mean, once I get in power, I'm just going to ban it completely." So, that's something that Democrats could really use to attack, whoever the GOP nominee is. Um, Regardless of whether it has merit or not. Truth really does not matter in politics. You just get over it. It's a blood sport, and all that matters is messaging. Regardless of whether it's true or not. A lie will zip halfway around the world before the truth even gets its pants on. All right, but back on track. Where was I? But yeah, you need to get the people to actually trust you on this, and if they don't trust you on this, I think here's I'm going to show you electorally why this is the case. Let's say let's say for lots of people are ditching Trump, and they say they want to nominate DeSantis or Youngcunt or Zeldin or some other people. Boring, robotic, establishment politicians who are just gonna yeah, it's a big, you're making a big mistake. You really have, you know like let's see, let's say maybe they could win back Arizona and Georgia. I feel like both of these are big ifs. I mean, especially Arizona at this point because they've elected Democrats in every position of their office now. But Georgia, I mean, Brian Kemp won big, so I mean, there's potential for Georgia to go back red this cycle only. Um, well, yeah, let's say if it's DeSantis or Youngkin, they have suburban appeal, so let's be generous and say Arizona probably go back red. But Nevada, they're very pro abortion state, pro choice state, blue. Michigan is probably going to be out of reach for for Republicans anyway. Now, in these states, these are the Rust Belt. This is where the workers are. If you run Zeldin, he's an anti work. I mean, Young Cunt, completely anti worker jagoff. He has no shot. He has no shot. None of the white working class would turn out for him. If it's DeSantis, I mean, he's not. He still comes off as robotic. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think Zeldin. He has an anti-union voting record. I don't think he'd have a shot. DeSantis, maybe maybe he'd pierce one of these states, but it's a big if. I don't think these these Biden, Obama Trump voters would turn out for just a politician. So the Rust Belt is where you're doomed. So like you need to sacrifice. You can't just go for Georgia and maybe Arizona and then sacrifice the Rust Belt. Yeah. So that do whatever you do. Do not nominate DeSantis. And this is only assuming though that they pick another establishment like person like Kim Reynolds or Kristi Noem or who else, at least Stefanik as a running mate. They just wouldn't have. I don't think they'd have a chance. I mean, maybe they could pick off one of these states. Who knows? But I think that's a big political gamble, and I agree with Red Eagle politics on this. Now let's assume, what if it's Trump? So we talked about this before. I feel like, the states that Trump would be easier to win. Wisconsin, definitely easiest, and then Nevada, and then Pennsylvania, and then meanwhile, Arizona, Michigan, and Georgia are going to be like the harder ones to flip. But I think with the abortion, the calculation changes. I mean, I think Arizona and Georgia are completely out of reach anyway, and this only cements that, even if he picks Carrie Lake, Carrie Lake lost. She lost to someone who wouldn't even debate, who was just a pussy and a coward. So Arizona's completely out of reach for him. Michigan's tough to flip. Nevada, though, pro-choice state, probably not going to, it probably just going to stay blue narrowly. So then maybe Trump would pierce. I mean, probably Wisconsin probably would just go red, but Pennsylvania might not even. Who knows? It could even lose Pennsylvania. It could be, but I think a map like this could be a realistic scenario for Trump. Yeah, it's not enough. So like, yeah, I don't think. So then, if it's not, I think people ditching Trump for DeSantis is like, they are really dumb, and it's a really stupid idea. But also keeping Trump himself may not also be the best either. So then, who do I think? Who do I think then is who the GOP should nominate? Who do I think is the GOP dream team? Enter Tulsi Gabbard. Now, a lot of you might be skeptical of this, because I know she has trustability problems with the GOP base, because she used to be a Democrat for so long, and she's She supported like Green New Deal or something like that. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I just heard that, but let me explain. She may have trustability problems with the GOP pace, but she can mitigate that by picking someone like Lee Zeldin or Ron DeSantis as her running mate. So I'm inclined to say it should probably be Zeldin. So here's why. So first, that would help maybe mitigate some of her losses in like the GOP, like generic conservative states, like like North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Utah, whatever. But first of all, she's got populism. She's very populist, and most people support populism. Most people are economically left. Believe it or not, even GOP voters. So that's the problem with the GOP is that there's no minimum safety net that they support. With Tulsi, you don't have to worry about that. So she'd do phenomenal in the Rust Belt. I think, but I think, but the important issue is her position on abortion. She's right in the popular position. She's and she has a record of it. She's libertarian on abortion before late term, but she also is one of the people behind. She introduced the bill to nationally ban late term abortion, and she 100% believes in that, and that's her record. So you don't have to worry about the trustability on that issue. But meanwhile, yeah. So I think that is going to turn out the Rust Belt for her. Even if she might struggle a bit in the base. I mean, with the traditional, the Romney type conservatives, but at the same time, she could, she's anti woke, and Zeldin was also anti woke, and this has suburban appeal, and Zeldin with his crime fighting power, he could it would complement him a lot because he actually would have the urban appeal. We saw he got within 5 points in New York, a state that normally votes D plus 30. That's a phenomenal performance, and he did great in New York City even. So we've seen the ability for him to run on the crime issue. And whatever the weaknesses that Zeldin has, like he's anti-union, but he's not blaringly anti-union. So like Youngkin in Virginia. So I would not advise picking Youngkin in Virginia because of how anti-union he is. But Zeldin, despite his anti-union voting record, it's not really as apparent. It's not like Youngkin, who brags about like hating unions all the time. So I really think Zeldin is the good VP pick. And some of you might be like, flip the ticket, but no, I think if it were that way, the appeal would go down a lot because people would mainly see Zeldin, the non-populist, on the top. But no, I think Zeldin should be VP, and Tulsi, people need an anti-establishment person on the top of the ticket, and that would be Tulsi Gabbard. So she's got the economic populism. She's got they both have the suburban appeal. He's got the urban appeal. So let me then just show you what I think the map would be like if it were, this GOP dream team. Oh, and she's anti-war too. That's also a big plus. And she's sort of a libertarian in some ways, so that might appeal in some like Nevada, for example, and even New Hampshire. So let me show you with the margins. Safe is over 10%, likely is 5 to 10, lean is 1 to 5, tilt is below 1. So right away, let's start with the Rust Belt. Iowa, Ohio, safe at this point. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, I'd say go likely. This would just be like a power platform against Biden and Harris. Michigan, probably likely, and I mean lean, and probably Michigan. I mean probably Minnesota. I think you know if there's any GOP candidate who could pierce Minnesota, I think it would be Tulsi. I think she's the only one who actually could do it. And I think it's because of the urban appeal too. But well, Minneapolis is weird, but I think she could pull it off. I think, or maybe she could at least flip the Iron Range, if not Minneapolis. Um, but definitely, the entire Rust Belt is probably a given. Indiana, I say if it might dip a little bit, because of a trustability issue, but you know, so here are the national populist states. These are like not generically conservative. And now here are the generically conservative states. It would dip a little bit, so like South Carolina probably only be likely. Mississippi would probably go down. Louisiana go down a little bit. Oklahoma go down a little bit. Kansas go down a little bit. Maybe could get to likely. Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah maybe could get down to likely because they're like very neocon and stuff. Alaska probably likely, but Alaska's pretty libertarian, so it might even stay. It might even be good for someone like Tulsi Gabbard. But Nevada, libertarian state, and they're very, so I think it could go low. It could go likely around the same as Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. New Hampshire, I think, could flip narrowly just because of how it's just anti-war and how much appeal that has in a libertarian state like New Hampshire. But in Maine, I also see it being till I think she could crack it especially with this dream team. The first district might even go likely because of the urban appeal of Zeldin. New York, it would probably be like somewhere around 10 points. It would be less. It would be bluer on a presidential level than it was on a governor's level, but it would definitely, go down, especially in the city. The urban appeal. Illinois, lots of crime here, lots of urban appeal, probably lots of Chicagoans, and lots of progressives might even switch their votes to Gabbard, because of how her record in the primary. They might have some Bernie Sanders nostalgia. So Colorado, Washington, these are very progressive states. Hawaii, it would definitely go down, like in terms of the blueness because of Tulsi being from Hawaii, but it would still be safe margin, I'd say. Vermont, it would also the blueness would go down. Lots of progressives there switching their votes, but it would still be safe blue because it's just such a blue state. Massachusetts, not a lot of progressives there, but there's urban areas though. That's the thing. So it could. Who knows? I mean, it would go down, but still be maybe barely safe. Maryland, also a lot of urban areas, barely safe. New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all these likely. California, also a lot of urban areas. It would go down. The blueness would go down, but it would still be like barely safe, I'd say. Oregon. Oregon, there's not a ton of progressives there, but on a governor's level, but there's a lot of urban areas, so maybe it could barely lean. It's borderline likely, or the low likely level, maybe. That might be a little too generous. Maybe barely likely. Washington would be the high end of likely. Oregon would be the low end of likely. And then, Georgia. She might turn off some of the traditional Republican base there, but with the suburban appeal and the urban appeal, I think this could be a GOP flip, just this cycle, for one last time. I think Tulsi would be the one to. Arizona. I mean, I don't know. It might. It could go. We could really go either way now. But but she does have suburban. I mean, both of them have suburban appeal, and there's some. So that might do it there. I'd say put Arizona's tilt, and just to be safe. Texas. Um, there's she'd lose some with the traditional Republican base. But I mean, the generic conservatives, but probably on the Hispanics she might do well. The urban areas she might do well. So I'll also put this as like the low end of likely, probably like a 6-point win. Florida, so put as a likely. She might turn off some like Cubans and like other people who might think she's a socialist or something. But she'd also do great in the urban areas and the suburban areas. North Carolina, same story here. Traditional Republicans, I mean, like generic conservatives turned off, but like suburbans, urban people, turned on. That's probably a bad word, but Virginia. I mean, they tend to like establishment candidates like Biden and Harris, but with the with the woke anti-woke messaging, she could do well in the suburbs here. So I put Virginia as a lean for Joe Biden. It would get close. It'd probably be like 2012 Obama versus Romney margins. DC still safe blue. New Mexico on the other hand. I mean, with the urban area, the urban areas, I'll probably with the way Hispanics are shifting right though, and it is a libertarian state. I'll put it as a tilt blue. Yeah. So I have. Oh, where did I miss? Oh, Nebraska's second. My least favorite district, but I think probably put it as a lean. Just because of it's a suburban district. It's an urban area. So I feel like Zeldin and Tulsi would have some appeal there. Yeah. So there you have it. You have 329 for the Tulsi and Zeldin Dream Team, not Zeke team. And you have 209 for Biden and Harris. Yeah. So I believe. So this is why, I believe Tulsi Gabbard and Lee Zeldin are the GOP dream team for 2024. And if Tulsi's on the if Tulsi's on the on the ballot, if Tulsi's in the primary, I'm gonna for sure she has my vote. I mean, and I'll be so excited, like honestly, like the most excited I've been in like my whole life. But yeah, what people miss about Trump really is his appeal is that he was the only president in our lifetimes who didn't start a foreign war. And Tulsi, I think, would be even better because of how very anti-war she is. And yeah, so you really ought to consider, taking a Tulsi Gabbard and Lee Zeldin direction. This is my advice for you in the GOP. And if you're watching this, Tulsi, I think you should definitely pick Lee Zeldin as your running mate. DeSantis would be okay too. Not Youngkin. Youngkin would be a poor choice. But yeah. This is your recipe for success, and I'm just laying it out right here. I really hope you do, because I really hate to have 8 years of Biden. Of Biden, I mean. So yeah, I never get why it's pronounced Biden, not Biden or Biden. It should be Biden. Joe Biden. That's what he is. He can't even string together a sentence to save his life, but whatever. Neither can I, though. I mean, I'm just as incoherent as he is. I mean, I don't speak coherent. I don't speak coherently when I'm unscripted. Um, something I've always noticed. Not my strong suit. Just improvising and stuff like that. So yeah. If you liked this, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.